one day, and I just said, hey, so Louis, this is really cool beginning to meet you, and we started talking, and I just kind of felt this really interesting awareness by him. And I really wasn't sure what to think because I had never met him before, so I really wasn't sure, who he really was. But as we sat there and talked, we just kind of locked eyes, and we just had some great, casual conversation, but you could tell there were two men really having a conversation rather than just chatting. And I turned to Lauren was there, and I said, Lauren, I'm thinking about maybe bringing him in to share with Next Level. She says, I think that'd be great. She knew him from before. So then I turned to Louis, I said, hey Louis, I know you're planning on I know you got this busy schedule going from wherever to wherever. I know they're counting on you at wherever it is. They're waiting on you to be there at 8 o'clock. But I said, I know you're here until then. And he goes, well, I'm probably going to Vegas, probably Thursday or maybe Friday. I said, can you make it Friday and come and be a part of our group on Thursday? And he said, sure, I can do that. It's my kind of guy. Yes. Yes or no. Not a, well, let me think about it. It's yes. And he says, yeah, I'll definitely be there. So he extended his trip. He's here till tomorrow, and then he goes to Vegas, and then he goes to Turkey. Then he goes to Australia, and then he goes to, he doesn't know where after that. So I want to welcome my new friend, and somebody who I have a lot of respect for as far as all the things that he's accomplished. He's 34 years old now. When he produced his movie, he was 30. And bring it on up. You use the mic or not? What do you want to do?
Well, Lautman, the literal translation is loud man. If anybody speaks, I think, in German. I had a lot of problems with that in grade school, so I think I'm okay with that. But before I get started, I want to thank you, Mr. Bob Donnell, for putting this environment together, putting this space together, putting a place that we can come to once a month. For those of you it's your first time, for those of you it's your 7th time or 8th time or your 2nd time. Just being in an environment like this gets me excited. Does anybody else feel at home here? Yeah. See, my whole thing is I don't want to go out and be that guru person. I just want to be part of the community, and I want to create communities worldwide. Mel, he runs, and I'll get a little bit further into this, he runs something that I have called the Young Entrepreneur Society, which is just a community of entrepreneurs, of people who are doing what they love. They get to hang out with other people who are doing what they love. So Bob, thank you so much for putting together Next Level.
Thank you.
And Jeremiah, thank you very much for allowing us to listen to you play. I think that was beautiful as well.
Absolutely.
And then to Calvin, thank you for blessing us with your gift. Thank you very much. And thank you to the Center Club. For those who don't know, this is a business network that's really cool. You have access to different clubs. It's a really great place to meet people. Some of you may be members, some of you may be in the process of joining. They have clubs all around the world, so if you happen to travel, you can always connect with people at other clubs, which is really awesome. So what I wanted to do, and I started thinking about this when Bob asked me last week, I literally was just kind of passing through town, came from an event called Burning Man, some of you may know. Been shaved for a week, so I figured I'm going to keep it growing. And I was hanging out with Mel, and I met Bob, and we connected, and Mel was talking about the Next Level for a while, and I met Bob, and he said, yeah, we got one coming up next Thursday. I said, yeah, I'd love to come, and later on in the conversation, he asked if I'd share my story, and I happily will. And as I share my story, I really invite you to look at your story and experience your story inside of my story, where you've been, where you're at, and really where you're going. Because as I travel the world, I have a couple different businesses that I'll tell you about. I have an opportunity to meet a lot of people, coach a lot of people, partner with a lot of people, serve a lot of people, and just really do the things that I enjoy that are by design. There's a lot of people out there living by default. Until one time they wake up and maybe it's that big guy with the big teeth who says, you know, create your life by design, or, you know, whatever it is. But it's like, wait a second, how did I get here? I went to that school because my parents told me to and got that job because that was the right thing to do at that time. And a lot of entrepreneurs in this room started that business because it just seemed like the right thing to do. And I don't like any of this. Get it all out of here. Right? But it's really tough because of who we are and how we create ourselves based on that identity. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that education, and I spent all these years. It's a really humbling experience when it's either taken away from you or you actually release it. I own 2 bags with all my favorite stuff. Got 14 days worth of clothes and a couple cool little electronic stuff. And I remember there was a time not too long ago where I lost my computer. That was a final thing, that if I ever lost it, you know, but I knew that I had the systems in place and everything's on the cloud, so like, I'm cool. All cool things going on, but I feel really safe. I really want you to start looking at, like, what tree is your ladder as you begin to climb that ladder? What tree are you leaning up on? And it amazes me as I travel the world. People are pretty much all the same deep down inside. We are made of the same stuff. Like a fish in water, they don't know that we're in water, or they're in water. We pull them out. You know, we're in this stuff here. You know, we're kind of connected. How big does my aura go out here? Maybe we're made from the same stuff. I don't really know. But deep at the core, my belief is we are pretty much the same, with the same needs, desires, wants, feelings, emotions. And it's funny because as I travel the world, one of my favorite questions to ask is, what do you want? Right? Pretty simple question. What do you want? You know, people come to me, they have a business. I have a virtual assistant company that I'll tell you a little bit about. I supply full-time virtual assistants to people. And I'll ask them, what do you want? I do business coaching and life coaching with people, and I say, what do you want? Anybody want to take a wild guess at one of the most common responses are to that?
I don't know.
Not only I don't know, they give me one of these. I mean, surely everybody in this room knows what they want. What is your next level? And it's interesting because it was probably only about my late teens, early 20s that I realized that not everybody wants what I want. Seriously. Like, I want to be homeless right now. I want to be nimble to where a meeting comes up in Vegas and I'm there. Opportunity comes up in Turkey, I'm there. Opportunity to go down to Australia to share the stage with Richard Branson. And Timothy Ferriss, who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, comes up. I'm there. And I want to buy a one-way ticket because I want to hang out for a bit. I don't have to worry about the stuff that I left behind. Might not work if I find a girlfriend or whatever, something. But it's working for now. See, my next level might change. In fact, I know it's going to change. But the context from which you're listening today, the context of where you're at right now, I really invite you to get present to what is your next level. You know, someone's next level might be to make $1 million. Someone's next level might be to give away $1 million. Someone's next level might be to build a business with hundreds of employees and have a building. Someone else's next level might be is to get rid of this building and get rid of all my employees and have a business that I can work anywhere. I got a friend. He makes hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in his underwear, selling other people's stuff. Stevie Chan, right? Right? He doesn't even create the items. He says, I'm going to look at what's a good thing to sell. He's a marketer, an internet marketer. Yes or no? And he can do whatever he wants, wherever he wants. He's got a wife and kids, his logo, which is great. But you don't create the item. You don't manage people. You just do some ninja, whatever. You get paid. But he gets to hang out with his family all day long. Is that by design? Okay. Or is it by default? See, most people that I meet in my travels, they create a life after those 40 hours from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. What do they call that thing? Your job. Okay, so you grow up, eventually you go out and support yourself. It's like, time to get a job. All right, so I got my job. My basic necessities are taken care of. But now, all right, there's 168 hours in a week, got 40 of them taken away, got 128 minus, my sleep and my commute time and all these different things. I've got, 17 hours to enjoy life. What do I want to do? And that's when they create, going to the bar on Friday, just getting drunk, not remembering the weekend so they can be hungover Monday through Friday. Not this group, obviously. Right?
Just Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay. I don't know. So, what I'm really a proponent for, and what I really stand for, is creating a lifestyle for yourself first. Doing something that you love to do, that feels right, that in your heart of hearts, that in your soul, that as a 5-year-old kid, you just got out of bed and shot down and that's all you wanted to do. And then you start asking the question, all right, this is what I love to do. How can I do more of this and have all my needs taken care of? How can I generate wealth doing what I love? How can I create enough revenue in my life to where I got to write or take photographs or cut hair or tell people what to wear? So it'll be a prettier environment of people running around looking nice. Or whatever it is that you do. Hang out in a recording studio for 20 hours a day. Yes! Someone else might be like, oh, I'm so sorry you're stuck in that recording studio for 20 hours every day. That must suck. No, it's the greatest thing ever. For a lot of us. That's the place where I get most excited, when I get to meet somebody like that. When someone, they just get to sit at the cafe and there's a chance, or have that one-on-one conversation and kind of just catch the groove. And talk about the thing. You ever see someone who's really excited about what they talk about? You ever see them light up? Is that cool? I like being around those people personally. I envision a world one day. I wrote a book actually in 2003. It's called Michael Lion's Domain. It's about a little lion cub growing up in a jungle, wondering why all the other animals weren't talking and communicating and playing with each other. So this little lion cub goes out on a journey and he finds that he can communicate with some of the different animals, and he learns a bunch of lessons and meets all these different animals. And then he hears about this dark forest. But on the other side of the dark forest was this place called the Enchanted Valley, where all the animals were supposedly happy and playing with each other together. But the monkeys played with giraffes, and the giraffes played with dogs, and played with lambs and kittens and all these different animals. So he goes through this dark forest and finds that there actually is this enchanted valley, this enchanted forest that exists. He got so excited about this enchanted forest, this enchanted valley that really exists, he also fell in love. But part of that, and his excitement, was to tell the rest of the animal kingdom that this enchanted valley existed. Because you see, not a lot of people, or animals in that book, knew about this land, where everyone was happy. Everyone was doing what they loved. The lions could play with tigers, who could play with bears, who could play with whatever other animals are out there. So we went on this journey to tell the world about it. That's book 1 of the 3-book series. The other 2 are still being written. But what was fascinating about that, it's a metaphorical book where I envision this world, because when I get most lit up, when I get most excited, is when I have an opportunity to meet the people who are actually doing the thing that they love, who created that business that they love, who get to wake up early in the morning and stay up late at night doing the thing that they actually enjoy. It reminds me of a story I once heard. These 2 business executives, come down from New York City, working on Wall Street, however they work long hours, and save up all their money, and they go to some Caribbean island. And they find these two guys. And they say, that's your boat out there? And they say, yeah. They say, we've got money, we want to take it out for the day. And these guys in the Caribbean island take out these two businessmen, and they're fishing. Now the guys are, all right, they got a beer in one hand, a fishing rod in the other, and they're all just four guys bonding, sitting in the sun, drinking beer, fishing. That's how guys bond, right? That's what we do. So they're out there fishing, and then the two business guys start talking to each other and say, this is great. Because they're creative, smart thinkers, you know, they start thinking about stuff. They say, we should bring down some of our friends down here. We should bring down some of our friends down here, and we could put together a tour. And they said to the two guys, the two fishermen that took them out that owned the boat, they said, you know what we can do? We can bring down a tour down here next month. And we'll make you a lot of money. You take these guys out, and they're going to tell their friends. They're going to bring more people. In fact, you'll probably make enough money to buy another boat. That's interesting, the guys say. Okay. Yeah. And then after you run that boat for a while, they'll bring in their friends, and then you'll buy another boat, and you'll have to hire a local person here. And then eventually, you'll have to get an office to start doing the bookkeeping, and then you're going to have to hire a bunch of employees, and you're going to have like people on the phone, and you're going to start advertising, and you're going to set all this like big system up. Then you're going to buy a building, and you're going to have like this big operation. You're like, that's interesting. And then you're going to make all this money. You're going to have all this money, keep collecting all this money, and you're going to be so rich. And you're like, that's interesting. And they're like, well, then what? Well, then you can build a business. It'll probably take you 20 years. You might take it public, bring it on the stock exchange, and make even more money. I said, well, that's interesting. I said, yeah, and then you're going to have so much money, you can sell the company. They're like, well, that's interesting. Then what would we do? And then the two business guys said, then you can move to the Caribbean and sit on a boat all day drinking beer and fish. And they said, that's all we do anyway. You see, so some people's next level is not your next level. One day I'm going to do this. One day. It's coming up. I'm telling you, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it one day. I remember when I wrote my first book, someone said to me, because I was saying, one day, one day. And it was a special woman who said, really, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, one day. And she said, when? I was flabbergasted. I was just like I didn't know what to say. Like literally from there, I went on a mission and whatever about that book. But what was interesting, I was having a conversation with somebody just the other day. We all know him in this room, perhaps. He's not in the room now, but he said, one day I'm going to make a blog. Months down the road when I'm ready. One day. And I just had a conversation with the guy just the other day, and I had my conversation with him. He's like, after talking with you, he goes, I'm launching my blog on Friday. So if Dan launches out on Friday, we'll see if it actually comes up. But you realize, why wait? Why wait for that? Okay, Lewis, well, I got this business, and I don't like it. Making loads of money, but what do I do? Well, here's a question that I learned to ask. How can I start liking it? How can I actually enjoy what I do? How can I start the process of doing more of what I love and less of what I don't love? Well, I don't know. I've asked that question before. Well, how many times? I just asked it to myself, and I don't know the answer. So what do most people do? They give up and they keep doing what they're doing. Right? Okay. How about you ask the question again? What if you had to ask yourself that question 3 times? Would you be willing to do it? How can I do more of what I love? Less of what I don't love? Would you be willing to ask that question yourself 3 times in a month? If you knew that at the end of that month, you'd be able to do what you love. Wake up and do the things that you really, truly love. And have people, systems, technology, other processes that take care of all that stuff. Would that be nice? What if you had to ask it 15 times? How about 100 times?
See, the quality of your language, the quality of your questions that you ask yourself will truly equal the quality of your answers and ultimately the quality of your life. You can really look at someone's world by their language, because in our language, our world is revealed. We reveal our map, our model of the world and how we talk. I'll never have that. I couldn't attend that. $2,000 for a monthly dinner? What? That's not who I am. You see, here's what I've learned. There's the past, there's the present, and then there's the future. Most of us, however old we are, whether we're 27 or 37 or 87 or anywhere in between, most of us base our decisions on one of these: the past, the present, or the future. Where do you think most people base their decisions from?
Past.
This is who I am. If this was a timeline, this is who I am, and this is what I've always experienced. So this is what I'm going to bring into my future. Yeah. It's almost like this. Like they've got this thing. You know this thing, right? This is who I am. Wish I was that. Because over there's no this. It looks comfortable over there. That looks nice. They're going through time here. Notice this is a timeline. There's the past. Here's the present. There's the future. Day by day goes by. This is who I am. It's because of this. Yeah. God gave me this. Oh no, my parents gave me this. And they're going through time. They're going through time. Look. Day by day, week by week, month by month is going by. There's only so much of that left. But I got this. It'd be nice to look over there. Not holding this thing. Anybody know someone outside of this room who's got one of these that they're carrying around? Well, what does it take to get rid of that thing? That sure felt nice. You can kind of hang on it, just kind of chill out on it for a bit. That's not good. I'm gonna miss you. Just one more minute. Just gonna hang out here for a bit. It sure is comfortable. This is comfortable, this chair. Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm not even walking and this thing is starting to move into the future. Now a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years went by and I'm still sitting on this thing. Next thing you know, I'm over here. Well, hold on. Maybe this doesn't feel so good. You know, Tony Robbins is great for talking about pain and pleasure. The only reason we do anything is to get out of pain and get into pleasure, right? The only reason that we're here tonight is because we thought that we'd have more pleasure in our life than pain. And if we didn't come, we'd have more pain. And it's really a shame when you have to wait for an external experience to create pain in your life. Something beyond your control. I had a brother who died about 8 years ago. And it was like the first time anyone died in my life. And I was like, whoa! It was really weird for me. It was devastating. And I just kept thinking, what is this? Why is this? And it really started getting me thinking about why people do what they do. How did this happen? And I started thinking about, geez, am I next? Who's next? When is next? It's a shame when there's an external experience that causes enough pain in your life where you put your foot down and you say no more. Can't we look into the future and create a beautiful enough painting or picture or whatever else it is that draws us forward? Does anybody have that vision? Who has that vision? Who's got that vision so crystal clear? They can smell it, they can feel it, they can touch it. Who's got it? What does yours look like?
Mine's music.
Nice.
That's since I was 7th grade.
How does it look when you see that?
It's performance, it's teaching. It's, not so much in school. I don't really do that. But, mentoring kids who can't afford the teaching. Do stuff like that.
Does that make you feel good when you envision that and you start taking steps toward that? I love being around people who are doing that. People whose picture is big enough, like so big that like one of these things gets in their way. Literally gets in their way, and they're like, it doesn't matter because they do one of these. You know why? Because they're up here. They're the visionary. The best way to predict the future is to create. Yeah. And sometimes little things like this get in your way. But if you have that vision, you have that goal, you know what your next level is. Comes up, you're just like, all right, you go through it, around it, under it, over it. I mean, it doesn't matter. We all have the same challenges. Some similar, some different. Anybody here not put their pants on one leg at a time? Anybody else not deal with traffic on the 405? See, it's not what happens to you in life that really makes the greatest difference, but it's what you do about what happens to you in life. So we all heard about this thing, next level by association. What does that mean? Bob has a perception of what the next level is. Do you? What is your next level? Can you communicate that to anybody? Can anybody communicate that? What's your next level? What does it look like? Who can communicate it? Yeah, I'm probably going to call on you if you raise your hand.
Michael, what is your next level today, brother?
Buying one-way tickets around the world, speaking to people and changing lives.
Is that the next level? Awesome. What's it going to take to get there?
Connections,
Awesome.
associations, relationships.
It's not always about this kind of capital, you know, the cash in your pocket. What about human capital? Isn't that like where we really get the most juice? I mean, it's like one connection away. Bam! One more connection. One, I'll give you 5. I know. So you're literally one connection away. Man, but to make it to that dinner, I don't know. It's tough. But for others, it might not be the dinner. It might be the next multi-million-dollar project or house or giveaway or whatever it is for you. And wherever you are is perfect for you. See, my belief is no matter where we're at, there's always room for improvement. Would you guys agree with that, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, no matter where you're at. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa, you're Richard Branson, you're, whoever. I don't know who you guys admire or who you look up to. But what is the next level? Is there anybody that might, and by the way, the next level might be, I want to stay home and spend more time with my children. Is that like a dream? Is there any mothers in town? Okay. How old is your child, children?
12 and 14.
Okay, maybe you don't want to spend more time. Anybody got any newborns? All right. And you very well may, I'm sure they're beautiful. Okay, you want to spend more time with them?
I do actually.
Okay. Like, is that a good question to ask yourself? How can I spend more time? How can I have more fun? How can I have more connection? How can I help them grow more? How can I, right? All these things. But all this stuff gets in the way. So that might be her next level. And I just made that up, so I don't know what your next level is. But is there anybody here who just, it's $200. My friend told me about it. I thought I'd come. Is there anybody who might not know what their next level is? Keep your hands down if you don't know what your next level is. Seriously, keep your hands down if you don't know your next level is. Keep them down if you don't know your next level is. Keep them down if you don't know what your next level is. Okay. So you're in the process of discovering your next level.
Yes.
What's your name?
Roger.
Lewis.
Lewis, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man. And that's a beautiful thing. See, Roger could be sitting there, and thank you for admitting that. Thank you very much for playing full out. The way that my belief is in life, the way that you get the most out of life is you live on the edge. You play full out. I was told one time, I shared this with someone earlier, like, in order to find out where the edge is, sometimes you gotta go over it. And how do you go over it? You play full out. You go out there and say, here it is, world! Check it out! See? There she is, baby! You expose yourself. And how you choose to expose yourself is differently for everyone, but it might be just saying, yeah, man, You know, I'm looking for the next level. I don't know what it is. I'm 18, 25, 32, I don't know how old you are. It doesn't really matter, but you're at where you're at. Sometimes you got to set up shop and, you know, keep pushing the button until the button falls off the edge and say, all right, there's the next level. That's the edge. My belief is what you want to do is set up shop right on that edge. Build that house, that business, that life, right on the edge. It's got a cool view on the edge. Really cool. Window to floor ceilings, floor to ceiling windows, you know, looking right out at the bluff. That's the edge. And you know what's interesting about comfort zones? Has anybody seen this? I love this. Who has children again? All right, fantastic. Have you guys ever been in the supermarket? And like, I know I used to do this with my father all the time. Like I would go wham and hold on to his leg and like, my father, he would do what I did. Does anybody have children that do that? Hang on, or maybe they used to. Yeah. It's a germ. Still does. Still does. So you know what it's like, right? So it's like, you got the kid walking around and like the mom and dad stands there for a second and like the kid you know, they do that because it's comfortable. It's comfortable. Eventually, have you seen this? Like where the kid goes like this. And I love children because everything is like a brand new experience for them. Have you ever seen like a kid's eyes of like curiosity, fascination, and wonderment? How they look around, and they see the spam on the counter, and they're like, wow. They look at other adults, and like they're walking around. Have you ever seen when they get to that edge, like what happens? What happens? What happens? They run back and they land on that leg, don't they? Because it's comfortable. And they hang out for a bit till they feel that level of comfort. And then what happens again? Does anybody know? They start going back. And they're like, this is cool. I've been down this road before. Right? And then like they go a little bit further. Have you guys seen that? They go a little bit further. And they might even turn a corner. Until what? They get freaked out, and then all of a sudden they run back to where they're comfortable. You know, we do the same thing. But it's not always our parents' life. For some of us, it's Facebook. For some of us, it's our house. For some of us, it's back to the grind tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We got excited, we went on the internet, and we thought about something, we even reserved a domain name. Then we had a conversation with a graphic designer or a web programmer, and we realized, I can't afford it, I'm too scared. And that Tony Robbins video that they just watched wore off. Then maybe a couple of years later, you'll see Tony again, you get excited. But it's like, what is it in that moment of decision that gets us out of our comfort zone? It's interesting to know for yourself. It's interesting to figure out what is that vision? What does that look like? What does that feel like? I see this picture, I saw it since I was 5 years old. I know what it feels like. I know who's there. I know what I'm listening to. I know what people are saying. I know how I feel. I know what I'm wearing. I know what the colors are. Man, like whatever. But if you have that vision, it doesn't matter what gets in your way. I'll never forget, it was like the year 2000, 2001. I was living in Tampa, Florida, and I went to see Robert Allen. He was writing one of his best-selling books. And he got up in front of this real estate crowd and he said, who wants to be a millionaire? Never. And he said, if you want to be rich, you got to be willing to make a fool of yourself. I remember hearing that. I was like, what? What is he talking about? I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I mean, my goodness, a fool to be rich? What's he talking about? But here's what I want to ask you. Sometimes when you're pushing it, trying something new, trying something different. And that trying something different just might be coming to a dinner like this. Trying something different might be being a speaker at an environment like this. Trying something different might be reserving that domain name. Trying something different might be saying, hey, I like you. I want to do business with you. I don't know what the heck business we can do, but I like your style. And I just want to meet you. But there's something that holds us back. A lot of these NLP guys can probably get into whatever it is. Whatever that stuff is. But what I know is start looking at your patterns. Start looking at your default. Start looking at the thing that you keep doing. Get home, take off your jacket, take off your shoes, sit in your spot, grab the drink, turn on the TV. You're like automatic. A lot of us go through automatic to the day that we die. And we don't put ourselves in that uncomfortable position. Well, Lewis, why would we put ourselves in that uncomfortable position? Who wants uncomfort? You know what happens to discomfort? Like if you keep putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, you know what happens? It becomes comfortable. And then you know what you got to do after you put yourself in that uncomfortable position? You got to find a new thing that's uncomfortable. Oh man, I'm going to this country. I don't speak the language and plopping myself in and just figuring out what I'm going to do next. You know, or whatever it is for you. You know, buying that house, buying that business. Telling that person I love you, you'll be okay, and not having the resources or resourcefulness or whatever it is that it takes to make something happen. You know, they say when your why is big enough, you have a big enough reason, you'll figure out the how. That's why I say just start from nothing.